Hey, good morning. Listen, I just took the screensaver off my phone, so now the picture looks much clearer. So listen, this is my physical TBR for October. Can you read that? Bleak House, but obviously Bleak House is a much bigger book than this. This is critical essays. Now, in order to be considered Victorian, it has to be written during the age of Queen Victoria, which ended in 1901. So these are like really old books, okay? This is a report on the sanitary condition of the laboring population in 1842. Mr. Baker, in his report on the condition of the population, after giving an instance of the contrast presented by the working people living in better dwellings situated in better cleansed neighborhoods, describes the population living in houses. Broken panes in every window frame, filth and vermin in every nook, with the walls unwhitewashed for years, black with the smoke of foul chimneys without water, with corded bedstocks for beds and sacking for bedclothing, with floors unwashed from year to year, without offices, while without they are the streets, elevated a foot, sometimes two, above the level of the causeway, by the accumulation of years and stagnant puddles here and there, with their fotid exhalations, causeways broken and dangerous, ash places choked up with filth, and excrementous deposits all on the sides as a consequence, undrained, unpaved, unventilated, uncared for by the authority but the landlord, who weekly collects his miserable rents from his miserable tenants. Can we wonder that such places are the hotbeds of disease, or that it obtains upon constitutions thus liberally predisposed to receive it, and forms the mortality which leads exhibits? Adult life exposed to such miamara gives way. How much more than infant life, when ushered into and attempted to be reared in such obnoxious atmospheres? On the moral habits, similar effects are produced. And inattention on the part of the local authorities to the state of the streets diminishes year by year the respectability of their occupiers. None dwell in such localities but those to whom propinquity to employment is absolutely essential. Those who might advocate a better state of things depart, and of those who remain, the one half, by repeated exhibitions of indecency and vulgarity, are indeed, by the mere fact of a neighborship, sink into the moral degradation which is natural to the order, and the vicious habits and criminal propensities precede the death which these combinations prepare. No education, as yet commonly given, appears to have availed against such demoralizing circumstances as those described, but the case of moral improvement of the population by cleansing, draining, and the improvement of the internal and external conditions of the dwelling are more numerous and decided through. There still occur instances in which the love of ardent spirits has gained such entire possession as to have withstood all such means of retrieving them. The most experienced public officers acquainted with the condition of the inferior population of the towns would agree in giving the first place in efficiency and importance to the removal of what may be termed the physical barriers to improvement, and that as against such barriers moral agencies have but a remote chance of success. Recapitulation of the conclusions. That the various forms of the epidemic, endemic, and other disease caused or aggravated or propagated chiefly amongst the laboring class by atmospheric impurities produced by decomposing animal and vegetable substances, by damp filth and close and overcrowded dwellings, prevail amongst the population in every part of the kingdom, whether the dwelling is in a separate house or rural villages, in small towns, in the larger towns, as they have been found to prevail to the lowest districts of the metropolis. That such disease, whenever it attacks, are frequent, is always found in connection with the physical circumstances above specified, and that where these circumstances are removed by drainage, proper cleansing, better ventilation, and other means of diminishing atmospheric impurity, the frequency and intensity of such disease is abared, and when the removal of the noxious agencies appears to be complete, such disease almost entirely disappears. That the formation of all habits of cleanliness is obstructed by the defective supplies of water. That the annual loss of life from filth and bad ventilation are greater than the loss from death or wounds in any wars in which the country has been engaged in modern times. That of the 43,000 cases of widowhood and 112,000 cases of destitute orphanage relieved from the poor's rates in England and Wales alone, it appears that the greatest proportion of deaths of the heads of families occurred from the above specified and other removable causes, that the ages were under 45 years, that is to say 13 years below the natural probabilities of life as shown by the experiences of the whole population of Sweden, that the younger population bred up under noxious physical agencies is inferior in physical organization, general health, to a population preserved from the past presence of such agencies. The defective town cleansing fosters habits of the most abject degradation and tends toward the demoralization of large numbers of human beings who subsist by means of what they can find amidst the noxious filth accumulated in the neglected streets and byplaces. That's from the report on the sanitary condition of the laboring population, 1842.